Hello, everyone. I'm Dan Turbyville. This is Powerhouse Fence Show. This week, we're talking about, there's a lot of people that talk about doing stuff and come up with these grand ideas and kick around these ideas and all this, and they never actually do anything. The people that talk about how they want to grow and improve and do better and, grow have all this magical growth in their life but never take a single step towards doing it. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. So, if you're new to the show, we have a few sponsors here. Memphis Fence Company, Simpalo, Valgard Strategies Group. And we have some partners that are listed across the bottom of the screen here. The Thornton Fence Consulting Group, Fence News, EZG Manufacturing, and My Salesman. All of these partners are people who we trust, we like, we believe in, and we want to support, and we put their name on the show. There's links to all of them in the description. If you're curious about what any of them are or what they offer, go check it out. So, welcome everyone. I appreciate you being here. I've not done this, I don't know, in a few weeks. And this year's been rough as far as the consistency of the old show here. Not gonna sugarcoat that one. So that's something that I need to work on. But anyway, yeah, like I said, we're gonna talk about just doing the bare minimum, right? And then maybe talk a little bit about doing more than expected. And we'll throw out some ideas about what's holding you back, what you could be doing better, some excuses, all those kinds of things. Like I said, I've been gone for a few weeks, off and on. It's been tough, and I'm a little bit out of practice. So I'm always reading books, listening to things. I actually have almost completed 2 paper books for the first time since I don't know when, maybe like elementary school or middle school, maybe. But anything past that, I don't think I've read a paper book from cover to cover since then. I've listened to some audiobooks, but yeah. So 2 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by John Maxwell and From Drift to Drive by Chris Robinson are the 2 books that will be wrapped up within the next week. I've been listening to, there's a podcast called My First Million that I've kind of grown to enjoy a little bit. I don't listen to it all the time. There's another one called The Game. I listened to a podcast actually that was like summary of the book 1984, which was a very interesting choice for me, but I just wanted to hear what the book was about. So yeah, always listen to something. I'm always looking for something else to listen to. So if you have any ideas, shoot them my way. I appreciate all of you being here. It's cool to see that people download and listen. And if you have any ideas of what you want me to talk about, feel free to send them over. There is a phone number right here on the bottom of the screen, 901-878-4987, that actually rings to me. And you also can find us on social media and send messages and do all those things. So however is convenient, send it on over. Well, that's enough of that. Let's get into the show. This is one of these episodes that you might be tempted to start off with some sort of disclaimer, right? Because we're all worried about hurting somebody's feelings in the lovely 2026 that we're living in today. And I said, nah, not this time. You're just going to get what you get. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And that's kind of where it is. So I want to be clear about one thing. Okay. There's going to be a lot of talk that's kind of around like success, maybe not using that word, but around the concept of success. And I just want to be clear that just because I say success does not mean that that's associated with money. I know a lot of people connect those two things immediately, right? But success is not always about money. So don't limit your mind to think that's all that it is. It's about anything you want it to be, right? It's your story, it's your success. Why would it not be the thing that you want it to be? So if, being able to tie your shoes in the morning is success, then hey, you got something to work on, or you're already winning, maybe, right? But your success is your success. Don't connect that to money. Don't make it the only thing it's about. So I've really been on this tangent lately. If you don't know me very well, I get hung up on these things and I might talk about it for, I'm not kidding, for weeks. And I might have 10 different conversations about this thing and just get different people's perspectives and opinions. And I just kind of, I don't know what it is, but every once in a while, there's something that hits me that I just kind of focus in on. And this is one of those things. All right. I really focused in on it. And I noticed a lot of people talk about doing things, right? It's like someone told me that you get some dopamine hit just from talking about doing a thing that you never even intend to even do. So I don't know if that's it. I don't know if people just like the idea of doing something and never actually do it. I don't know what's happening, but there's a lot of talk about doing stuff and nothing happens as a result of it. So people just talk and talk and talk and never actually take a step, and it's driving me insane. And it was like once I saw this happening and kind of started paying attention to it, and I just see it everywhere, and I can't unsee it. And it's just started to pop up here and there at different places in my life, and I'm like, "Oh, no. I just have to get this out," right? It just has to be aired, and here we are. I can't understand. Okay, let me be clear. There are a million times in my life when I've thought, "Man, what if I did this thing?" Right? Or what if I did that thing? And my wife has a note section in her phone where she loves to write down all the crazy business ideas that I throw at her. Right. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. What if we became ostrich egg farmers and, but we grew them in caves so that they weren't exposed to the sun? Like, whatever, random off the wall stuff. Right. And she always keeps this note thing going in her phone. So don't mistake this for that. I'm not talking about conceptual ideas that people just throw around. I'm talking about people having real conversations about doing a thing and never taking one step. I'm not talking about people who tried and failed. I'm not talking about people who got to some certain roadblock and they're struggling to get past it. I'm talking about somebody that never even tried. That's the thing that's driving me crazy. So I would say either stop talking or start going. If it's just an idea, call it an idea, right? When you talk about it, be clear about what it is. So don't come to me and be like, man, let's do this thing. It's going to be so crazy. Let me tell you what it's going to be like. We'll figure it out. We'll talk about it here in a few weeks. And then nothing ever happens. Right? That's crazy. I don't want to hear that crap. There's this old saying, actions speak louder than words. I live by that. Right? We live in a world full of all of this soft parenting and participation trophies and all of this nonsense. And but guess what? The world is not soft, right? Once you get out in the world, it's not soft and you're not going to get a trophy for just showing up. We did some performance reviews and I sent out an email to everybody and gave them a link to schedule and all that stuff. And I said, hey, I want you to understand a performance review does not mean you come sit in here and we have a conversation for 20 minutes and you walk away getting a raise. Right. And then I went down another little tangent and I said, wait a minute. Do people understand that money is not connected to tenure, but it's connected to performance? Now, obviously, if, there's disclaimers with everything, nothing is always right. But what people are paid is connected to performance. And I don't know that that's even like, there seems to be some confusion about that. So, number one thing that I have written down here is do more than what's expected. All right. Now, remember, You set the standard, right? Because we should always be the one that expects the most. So if you want to succeed, golly, if you want to succeed, you have to do more than the bare minimum, right? You can't just go around doing the very least possible to not get fired and expect to suddenly have some great success fall in your lap. Doesn't happen that way. Right? It's not going to happen. So you got to do more than what it takes to just get by. You know, if you show up to work 5 minutes late and leave 5 minutes early, and that is all the effort you put into progressing your career, you know, you might get somewhere, but you're not going to get where you could get. And I'm not saying that, like, I'm not talking about because of the hours that you work. What I'm talking about is if you leave work and you never put another ounce of energy into growth or learning or improving, maybe you listen to a podcast on the way home. Maybe you watch a YouTube video. Maybe you read a book, right? Maybe you do any of those things that are about your own personal growth. That's what I'm talking about. And who's ever gotten anywhere by doing the absolute least amount of work possible? I mean, all the way since we were kids, right? We were taught, oh, you got to get good grades so you can get a scholarship and go to college and all of that stuff, right? Like we've been taught the whole time that you have to put in the work to get what you want. All right. So anyway, how about we do more than anyone expects of us, right? More than our family expects. So maybe we show up when they don't think we will. Maybe we do more than our boss expects, right? Just take an extra step on some project. Show a little bit of initiative. Don't just color inside the lines that you were given. Maybe put a little thought and put a little bit of have a little bit of initiative in there with you, okay? And then how about we do more than the rest of our team expects? So maybe that means we have to hustle and stay a step ahead and we have to work really hard to get out in front of them. Right, but maybe we just do a little bit more than they expect, a little more than the client expects. Answer their questions quicker than they expect you to, right? Be at their site faster than they think you should. Uh, Man, we have some great people on our team here, and there are times where somebody will call and say, "Hey, can you come look at my fence?" And I promise you, there will be someone at their property in like 15-20 minutes. I mean, that is more than that client expected, right? Unless we've done it for them before and then we can't get there for 2 hours next time, right? Then you kinda have the flip side, but you set your own bar. So, just keep that in mind. When you're delivering more than anybody else expects, you set that bar. Today, one of our guys, Miguel, he said, "Hey, man, I fixed that air compressor." I didn't know what he was talking about. So we went through the whole thing of what air compressor, da 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 da. And he said, "Yeah, that old air compressor that was over there and it just stopped working." He said, "I fixed it. I took it apart and I cleaned everything out of it and it looked like somebody just dumped a bunch of grease in something and, I got it going again." Nobody asked him to do it. He just went and did it. And now there's an air compressor sitting in another shop that didn't have air before, all because he just took a little bit of extra initiative and just did something with his free time, probably. Have you ever been in trouble for delivering too much? How about this? If you can't think of a time that you delivered too much, you might want to think about that one instead. But have you ever been in trouble for delivering too much? I've gotten in countless messes for under delivering, right? I've under delivered information is probably the number one thing that I personally have failed to deliver properly. And it's got me in trouble. And I try to learn, right? Because if we're gonna fail, we need to learn from it. But I've gotten in a bunch of messes for under delivering information. We show up too late. We take too long. All of these things that we under delivered what the client was expecting. But I can't think of a time where we over delivered, right? We delivered more than they expected and got in trouble because of that. I'm sure there are scenarios that have happened. Yes, I know, but I can't think of any. And I think the percentage is significantly smaller. So deliver too much. We under delivered yesterday. We maybe did today too. I'm not aware of it. But I know we did yesterday. And we had a meeting with a general contractor yesterday afternoon. And there was some mistakes made during the bidding process. And we've gone through filling out a bunch of forms and doing all these things for them. And mistakes were made during those processes as well. And this was the first time that I've interacted with anybody from that GC company. I just kind of hopped in the call, and you could tell immediately that the trust had been damaged. There had been trust lost from the beginning of the process to get to that point, and they haven't sent us a contract. We haven't done fence, right? Which is, oh, we're just here to put in fence. Like, no, we're here to deliver an entire experience. So get that idea out of your head too. But we had not put in a piece of fence for these people, and we had already lost their trust. And I thought, oh gosh. So we started with an uphill battle. And by the end of the meeting, it turned out okay. I believe it was hour and a half or hour and 45 minutes or something like that. It was a pretty long meeting. I think it was okay. But we had under delivered up to that point. So expect more from yourself. And I think that you're on the right track when nobody expects more from you than you expect from yourself. Right? Hold on. So if there's nobody who expects you to deliver more than what you expect to deliver, you're on the right track, not a person. Remember, you set that bar. Now, can you deliver what you expect for yourself? That becomes the challenge, right? And then once you deliver that, do you raise those expectations? You go a little bit higher and a little bit higher and a little bit higher, and you keep raising the bar? Or do you get complacent and just leave the bar and just cruise, right? Do you always want growth and expansion? Or do you want to just accept good enough? Now, all of those people who thought you were crazy for having such high expectations, imagine how they react when you actually deliver it. Hmm. So I like to, I think we try to expect more and we try to do more than what everyone else around us is doing, because we don't want to just be another person in the room, right? We want to stand out. Don't we want to be something different? Don't we want to just not blend into a group of people? Right? Don't we want to be something special, right? Only we can do that. Nobody is going to come do it for us. There's people that'll help us, and there's people that we can ask questions and they'll give us advice and things along those lines, right? But they're not going to put in the work for us. We have to do it ourselves. Man. So we have to do something that the rest of the room is not willing to do if we want to stand out from everybody else. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't think it matters what position you're in. If you own the place or if you just started 5 minutes ago and somehow this is your first task at work is to come listen to Dan. Well, you work at a pretty cool place, I'm going to tell you, but push the boundary and deliver. Have higher standards, raise the bar, expect more than they expect of you. Focus on the small details. Take all of those concepts and now become a leader. Right? So what's a leader? It's the one in front. Right? Somebody who shows up when the other people want. They perform when others are going to hide. Funny story, I've actually caught people hiding like multiple times on our property. A leader, they raise the level of the whole room. How cool is that? You walk in and the atmosphere changes in that room So you need to now bring the rest of the room up to your level. Hmm. You know, another great thing we can do is we can change the way we think about ourselves. Why why should we let other people believe in us more than we believe in ourselves? They shouldn't, right? We should be our number one biggest fan. We should be our number one biggest believer. And I don't mean have some crazy ginormous ego that can't fit in the room with you, but believe in yourself, right? And refuse to accept these lies that float around in your head. Here's an exercise for you. Spend some time and think about all these garbage statements in your head that start with I am not. I am not good enough. I am not smart enough. I am not tough enough. Whatever that crap is, write it all down. Get you a piece of paper and write it all down. Then take the piece of paper and burn it because they don't mean anything. You made them up and they're all just lies. So get that crap out of your head and go be great. Most people don't fail because they can't, they fail because they never actually start. So refuse to accept that you can't do anything. Yeah, anything. I don't care. Just refuse to accept that you can't do anything. Uh-huh. Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or cannot, you're probably right. And I really think that I think there's something to that statement right there. And I will say there are things in the world, there are things that you might want to try to accomplish and they would take a tremendous amount of work to do. I mean, like work that you may not be able to accomplish in an entire lifetime, right? But you could do work and you could take steps and you could get there. Uh, so that's possible. It's just a really, really hard road ahead of you. So now let's get rid of some excuses too. Whatever the excuse is, just get rid of it. So write that down on a piece of paper, wad it up, burn it, throw it away. Speaking of burning stuff, so a guy in our office named Claiborne, he went out and he looked at a fence today. It was for some property management company or something like that. And there were three fence lines between these two properties: a wood fence, a chain link fence, and another wood fence. And it like the chain link was sandwiched between the two wood fence lines. And so these tenants had thrown somehow some hot coals back there, I guess from the grill or whatever, and they burned all three fence lines down. So the two wooden fence lines and the chain link fence in between them was all gone because of their brilliant idea to put some hot coals back there. All right, back to excuses. So we've already gotten rid of these false "I am not good enough" statements, right? So let's get rid of some excuses. This is one that I like is I don't have time. Now, to be fair, I bet probably 5, maybe even 10% of people who say I don't have time actually are telling the truth. Right? There are people who do not have time to do anything. But for the rest of us, it's just an excuse. We can always stop watching TV. We can always stop some hobby. There's something in our life that can be removed. So it's not that we don't have time. What we have is a priority issue. We don't prioritize the growth or the learning or the expansion or whatever action we need to take. We don't prioritize that. And we have time that we could use better. How about this one? I don't know how. And just get out of here with that crap. This is the worst one. There is so much information in the world today. You can go on the internet and find, yeah, I don't want to say anything, but there's a bunch of stuff out there. And you can go find someone who knows. Nobody, this is the same as everything else. Nobody's going to come do it for you. You have to do it. But the flip side of that is nobody can stop you either. So there is more information in the world today than there has ever been. I want to give you a second and I want you to think about what is the greatest feat in human history? What's the greatest thing humans have ever done? Maybe built pyramids, right? Went to the moon. I don't know. Maybe you think what Burj Khalifa, right? Whatever thing it is, pretty sure that's the name of that building. Whatever thing you think that is, there is more information in the world today than there was when that thing happened. And they figured it out. So now, number 5, we're almost done. Keep pushing. So make excellence your identity, not your goal. Make it so that you are so sick and tired of not achieving excellence. Okay. Make it so that you're sick to your stomach if you don't achieve excellence. Yeah. There are a lot of times when I've been really stupid and I've gone out and we've replaced gates and fence and things like that whenever on the job site, and the customer thought it was fine. And I'm like, nope, it's not good enough. We are not letting that stay there. Whatever it is, right? Make excellence your identity, not your goal. Make it a core part of what you're doing. And remember, you're the judge. And you now have the highest standards, right? Because we've set standards higher than anybody else has for us. Make it so that nothing else is good enough other than excellence. And this is another thing. Don't talk about it. Don't plan it out. Just go do it. Take the steps to get there. And if you think you're already excellent and have no room for improvement, find somebody who will tell you otherwise. There's somebody in the world who would tell you that you're not. So go find them. We should always be on a mission to learn more. And we should always be trying something, right? And when you try something hard and you fail, good. Learn from that failure and then take what you learned and try again. That's it. Just keep going. And then always try to grow. So we always look for growth opportunities everywhere too, right? And never, ever stop growing because you're never going to be done. Just like you're never going to be done learning. So if you want to do it, don't ever quit. Keep the negative lies out of your head. And if people start calling you crazy, that's cool too. Because there are hundreds of the best things in history that have ever happened when everyone around them thought they were crazy. Like thought they were losing their mind and they just kept going and something magic happened. Now, achieving goals or greatness or growth or any of these things, it will not always be fun. Right? There's going to be some late nights and some long days, and there's going to be a bunch of suck. But every once in a while, you have some moment of immeasurable joy when you hit some milestone or finally have some breakthrough or finally see progress or whatever that is, and you go, holy crap, I did it. Or I'm on the way. Right? Those are the little magic moments that we gotta like cling to and we gotta work towards. But there's far more moments that suck. Okay. There's a ton of times we just want to give up and go home. And we have to keep pushing because we got to remember there's something great on the other side of it. And I heard a story the other day about a fella, and it was I'm sure you've probably seen it before. It's one of those little cartoons where, you know, they're digging in a mine and they just keep digging and digging and digging and digging and then they just give up, right? And there's like a pile of diamonds that are 6 inches away from them when they stop. I think that was a real story, not diamonds, but I think it was gold. And I think some guy somehow got I don't know if he bought the land or had a lease or something like that on some gold mine. And he went down and he hit a gold vein and like relocated a ton of people and equipment and all of that stuff to the property. And, you know, all the money that he spent relocating everybody is how much gold they pulled back out of the ground. So it's pretty much a break even deal. And I think he went and sold the property to somebody else or told somebody else about it or whatever. And they wound up going back out there and they did the thing where they started digging again and they found the gold vein. And it was like, 5 feet from where they had stopped digging or something. And it turned into one of the richest gold deposits that had been found, or, it was a crazy story. I don't remember enough details, but that's why we keep going, because we never know what's just right around the corner. So remember, you set the bar, you set the standard, and nobody's coming to save us, right? Nobody's going to do the work for us. We either take action or we don't. So now we have to ask ourselves, are we going to shut up or are we going to get to work?